Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
John Esterly, Rare Buzz Effects.
Well, that's where usually when big boy Jared chimes in.
Where are you?
He's not here today. This is Todd Novak. We are thrilled to death that you are with us for our podcast, the Guitar Knobs podcast. Yep, Jared's working hard, working his fingers to the bone. And John was kind enough to swing in here and hang out with us and also pick up the pedals that he had let us borrow. So that was kind of cool. Hello again.
It's nice to have you back.
Well, thank you. Nice to be back.
Yeah. Now, Tony.
Yeah.
Briefly, what is this show about?
This particular podcast?
Nope.
Or the podcast in general?
The podcast in general.
Okay.
You completely bypassed the whole briefly thing. You bastard.
Oh, briefly. By briefly, do you mean the extended version? No, you don't. What we like to do is we like to talk about gear, and we like to talk about people who make the gear.
That's right.
That could be guitars and amps and pedals and pedal boards and accessories and pick guards and occasional pickup makers and
101 series
and the 101ers,
speakers and all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
On the line today we have whom?
Brian Hamilton, Smallsound, Bigsound.
And with the smooth sounds of Brian Hamilton, I might add. My.
There was some fine keyboard playing in the background.
Yeah,
earlier.
that was awesome. So yes, Smallsound, Bigsound. Somebody I've wanted to have on for quite some time, actually. And so I am really excited to have you on. You made it to one of the Four on the Floors recently, and I
Nice.
think that was one of the Genesis items. I'm like, yep. I gotta hit you up. And we connected on Instagram, and all was well, and here we are. Welcome to the show, Brian. I know that our audience is going to enjoy this thoroughly. Or else. We're going to go over lots of great things happening with Smallsound, Bigsound. I love your brand name, too, by the way.
Thank you.
It sounds like he couldn't make up his mind.
All the sounds.
You want small sound or big sound?
Yeah.
That's my life story.
Yeah. So we just have a couple bit of announcements here we're going to get through. Number one, we want to thank Rode for the Procaster microphones that we have so lovingly been speaking on for a couple of years now.
Yes. And they, what are these kind of arms called?
Articulating.
Oh, these are the articulating arms that I particularly like.
Correctamundo.
Nice.
And also the Rodecaster Pro, our mothership that is recording all of our nonsense.
What about a shout out to the customer service at Rode?
I absolutely was going to do that regardless of what you were going to say. I can say with hand up to swearing on whomever, Rode's got some of the best customer service that I've encountered over the email, on the actual site. I've been so impressed with them. Huge thank you to Rode. Huge thank you to Nick at Rode, especially, who's been so great helping us out. We also want to give a little shout out to, we got some news from Barefoot Buttons. They've come out with a bunch of new products that we're going to be talking about over the next couple episodes. And tonight we've got... What do those look like right there?
They look like gummies.
Except they're not.
But they're not. They're not edible. I tried eating one.
Yeah, no.
Not good. Not tasty.
This is a brand new product. It is a glow cap. It's a silicone glow cap.
They glow in the dark?
They glow in the dark.
I didn't see
And they
that.
fit over your existing Barefoot buttons, the V1 button or the V2 button. If you have those, you probably know what those are. And they're the regular size Barefoot buttons.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's really, really cool. They come in 3 colors: clear, light blue, and light green.
Green. So what, the clears glow white?
Ish, I suppose. Yes.
And the greens glow.
That's you got the
Green.
hang of it. Good for you. Yeah, so it's really good, especially if you're on a dark stage. You can get you can see that stomp surface really easily, and it does add a little tiny bit more actual surface area, which is great.
It's tactile.
Yes. Also, if you're playing barefoot, that's just a little added extra comfort for your tootsies. You know what I'm saying?
Do people play barefoot?
A lot of people unfortunately, those same people also take pictures of themselves playing barefoot, which nobody needs to see. But
do they at least wash their feet before they play?
That's questionable. So anyways, these things are super cool, super durable. Certainly, you have probably seen the big aluminum buttons that sit on pedals. If you're not familiar with those, they're really fantastic. They are so helpful in a gig situation to help distinguish you're bored instead of trying to look for a little tiny button that you're trying to stomp on in the middle of a song. So these are super helpful. And these little doodads go right on top of it, so you can see them even better. There is free shipping on them for anything over $15 in the U.S. That's pretty good. So you can get a couple of these. Anyways, go check them out at barefootbuttons.com. Barefoot Buttons, music for your soul.
S-O-L-E?
S-O-L-E. We also have we got a note in from our friend Robert Brown. He's a bass player, all right, and he sent us his 4 on the floor, a very brief 4 on the floor. I know it's 4, so there can't be more than 4, but just the descriptions, right? So as a bass player, I thought this was interesting because we don't get a lot of bass player 4 on the 4s.
No, we don't.
So his number 1 is TC Electronics Sub and Up. I figured it would probably be something like that. Mm-hmm. And also the EBS Unichorus. I'm not familiar with that. Followed by the Keeley Bassist Compressor.
Ah, that would make sense.
Yeah. And then number 4 is the Aguilar Tone Hammer. So that was really cool. He just kind of shared that to us.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we love, bass players, I mean, it's a little different world out there. And
it is.
I mean, some guitar pedals play well with basses, a lot don't. So it's kind of cool to hear what's working on those kinds of rigs. If you're using pedals and you're a bass player, let us know.
Yeah.
We're curious.
And that was accompanied by a really nice note, which, by the way, like, honestly, I've been so lifted as of late in such a positive way because I don't know what happened. It's like out of nowhere, I just started getting a lot of messages about, appreciation for the show, ways that we're connecting, ways that people are, expanding their own horizons and everything. And it's so great to get that feedback. And if you're thinking about it, share it with us. Like, I'm going to share one right now, actually.
Read away.
This is from our pal at Hello Sailor, Joseph Halliday. He sent a note. This was really cool. He says, well, I got to say thanks again to you guys. I was invited to see Gary Newman by his guitar player, Steve Fox Harris, who now owns a Hello Sailor pedal, and I think he's actually ordered a couple more since. And he's ordered a second. He says, I got backstage and close up with Steve's gear, not to mention I made a new friend, too, all because he listens to your show and loved the interview.
Nice.
Man, that is so cool.
That's very coul.
I was thrilled at it. And like Gary Newman, I'm an 80s kid, so it's like, he's a singular voice in the music world. Nobody sounds like that dude.
No, I remember when In Cars came out. I think I was in high school. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, there was nothing else like that.
Yeah.
It was cool. And then that, got on to, I'm the operator of my pocket calculator.
Yeah. And I think I'm electric. Anyways, all the Gary Newman stuff. So,
well, that wasn't a Gary Newman. That was Kraftwerk.
No. Whose?
Pocket calculator.
Why
is
this isn't the Kraftwerk?
Well, I know, but
podcast.
I was saying that I moved on. I started with Gary Newman.
You started.
Then
I
started. Well, not so much the synth, just the
you bought a guitar.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right, we're moving on from this. So
why do you
that
have
was really
to?
cool.
You're trying to hurt my feelings purposefully, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
Like it to me.
Joseph or Joe. Sorry.
At least I can say solderless connections.
Yes, I know. Joe, congratulations on meeting Mr. Newman and Mr. Fox Harris, and continued success to you, man. Let's get on to what's going on in our music worlds this week. Tony, well, I'm going to start you off because you kind of set the tone for everybody.
Do I?
Yes.
That's the nicest thing you've said to me all day.
Yes.
That's nice.
Uh-huh.
Well, actually, this just happened today.
Okay.
So I have a 58 Flying V replica that I have a Gibson case for, and it never quite fit just right in the case.
Yep.
So I was on the hunt for a Lifton style case that they would have used in the 50s. It's it's more of a squared off kind of thing as opposed to the straight V shape. And it just so happens that the Joe Bonamassa Epiphone Amos model has that case. Now, the Epiphone case is, I guess it's about the same, but I had priced this a long time ago from like a TKL, and it was going to be like $350, just a ridiculous amount of money for a guitar case. So I just happened to be over at Music Around, and they had one of the Epiphone Joe Bonamassa cases for the Flying V.
That's kind of random.
Yeah.
Totally random. And it's kind of a weird thing, but the case was in wonderful shape. They didn't have the guitar, and it was $59.99.
Oh, yeah, that's
which
a
is
no-brainer.
Okay, I'm buying it. But someone had cut the part on that particular model. It looks like it's stenciled where it says Amos limited edition or something like that. Someone had cut that section out. So there's this screw you, Bonamassa. Well, no, they left the JB at the top in the Epiphone logo, but they cut out the part that said Amos. So, I mean, it's a great case. The inside is beautiful. It's just got this square of missing Tolex on it.
I'm surprised that they didn't try to do something funny with the M and left.
Oh,
that would have been.
It took me a while.
Yeah.
Okay. There
So,
you
anyways, all right. Well, that's an exciting.
So that was
story.
it's
There's
cool.
more. Okay.
There's see, this is how I get treated here. Forget it.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm not going to say anymore. I had more to add to it.
Perfect.
But I'm not going to.
Great. Now I know.
I'm never going to say.
make that happen.
I'm not even going to say another word.
Brian,
Yo.
if you're not ready to leave us yet, will you share what's going on in your music world this week?
Sure. I was in Kingston over the weekend helping my wife at a craft show and called Field and Supply, which is a pretty interesting show. And a friend of ours,
what is Field and Supply?
It's basically like it's a craft show, craft fair, but it's a pretty upscale event. It's like very well curated, people selling multi-$1,000 furniture and like fancy stuff. It's basically like a nice curated craft fair for people who live in New York who also have second places in upstate New York. It's a pretty niche world.
Yeah.
But anyway, so a friend of ours named Emily, she was playing this festival called O Positive Festival that was happening at the same time. It's a really cool music fest. So what they do is all the proceeds go to supplying healthcare and dental care and things like that for musicians.
Oh, wow.
So it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's really cool.
I know some that need
her
that.
performance that she was, plenty of them do. But her performance she was doing it was a pretty weird, like experimental vocal performance. It was like a group of like 20 or I don't even know how many singers. They were all in the audience and kind of like walking throughout people and singing, and it was just a really amazing. The piece itself was really super well done. It was beautiful. It was like a 45-minute piece, but just the context of the whole thing was really great too. I mean,
that's cool.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Neato.
Yeah, it was kind of like it was very like Phil Glass, like John Cage kind of vibe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what sort of things does your wife make?
Oh, my wife. Her name's Gabrielle Silverlight. It's an interesting one. And she makes ceramics. So
cool.
Okay.
she makes really beautiful work. Yeah.
Can people see that anywhere on the...
Oh, yeah. They just have to look up her name.
All right.
Gabrielle Silverlight.
Gabrielle Silverlight. Say it 3 times. She's going to pop in the studio.
There she is.
She was joking that she was going to heckle me from the other side of our apartment.
Nice.
She stepped out.
Oh, she missed the funnies. That's great.
Yeah.
John, how about yourself, buddy?
Well, we talked about it last time I was here. I am a Telecaster nut, so I have been kind of getting pieces together to build a barn caster. So I've now got the body and the neck and a lot of the hardware. So this week I kind of worked on the rough fitting, getting the neck to fit the neck pocket in the body, because the body, although it's beautiful, was not machined very well. So it's going to need quite a bit of work to finish it and get it usable. So aside from just the normal day-to-day pedal stuff, that's kind of what I've been working on.
Cool.
That's nice.
That sounds super fun.
Ted, how about you?
Ted, just admit it. So I was having some issues. I was in practice, and I started cutting out. And I immediately thought it was like, okay, so pedal's got an issue or something. So I'm playing Chase the Cutout issue, which is a total nightmare when you've got you got 2 inputs, 2 outputs, 2 chords, an amp, a guitar, your switch, all the switches, and then all the pedals. It's just like, oh my gosh, this could be anywhere. So I'm futzing around with it and everything, and I thought, oh my gosh, I think it's my guitar cable. Now, I used the rattlesnake cables. Hank up there in Missoula, Montana, makes unbelievable guitar cables, rattlesnake cables, and this thing, I mean, it is built like a tank. And I can't believe this thing's going, but I kept messing with it, and I was like, I think there's something wrong with it. Well, then I eliminated that, and then I kept hearing, I was like, what? Okay, so maybe it's not that. So I'm doing all the chasing thing, and I thought it was my pickup selector switch at one point in time, which that probably needs to get looked at too. It might be a little bit loose, but ultimately what I determined was it's my input on my pedal board. So I got to dig into that a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I put 2 other cables in. This is the interesting. It's not a wiggle issue, okay? And so I'm totally open to like, oh, it's this, dude. I tried 3 different cables in, and to ensure that it wasn't a wiggle thing, I put the right 90-degree cable in, and I just sort of levered it forwards and backwards, and that's when I got like the cutout. Really? So it's in the twist. If it, and it's not, I'm not bending or anything like that. I'm simply in a circular manner turning the cable in the connector, and that's when it was dropping.
And almost it could be like corrosion.
Yeah, have you tried putting any kind of a cleaner down in there and
no
getting it cleaned out?
I haven't done anything. I just identified it.
What took you so long?
So, anyways, that's what I got to do. I gotta
jack,
chase
you'd
that
think that'd
problem.
be the first thing you'd look at.
I knew it wasn't the cables, because I'm legit. People out there, give Rattlesnake a little plug here. Hank builds them by hand in Missoula, Montana. They are outstanding. That's what I use on stage every single time I play. So go check out Rattlesnake cables. All right. Well, that was all that stuff. So how about this? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the floor. Brian from Smallsound, Bigsound, give us your 4 on the floor.
All right. I think I'll start with classic RE201 Space Echo. It's one of my favorite pieces of gear of all time.
That's a big one, isn't it?
It is a big one, yeah. I've chose large pedals for the most part. That aren't really even pedals, I guess.
Yeah, technically that's not a pedal.
That's okay. Yeah. It's an effect.
You know what?
Yes.
It's
we
a guitar
allowed
effect.
a reverb unit one time. I will allow this. The judges allow it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jared,
All right,
what
great.
do you think?
Cricket. Okay. So that's I mean, whether or not people actually truly want to buy one, I think that is one of those coveted things. Like you
totally.
see that and you're like,
Yeah.
damn, that is so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yep. I feel the same way, which is why I've tried to find one and did.
And
I mean,
is
it's
that
one of those things that I wanted for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that
Yeah.
you keep on pretty much all the time, or?
Oh yeah, I use it all the time.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Neato.
It took a while for me to sort of like start using it a lot, but now that I do, it's like my go-to.
And that's another one of those units that a lot of people even just use the preamp section for it too.
Oh, sure,
Just
yeah.
like, like the Echoplex.
Yep.
They did some cool stuff in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a friend who's got a recording studio here in town, and that's what he uses. He uses it for. He's got one there at the studio that he just uses the preamp for, certain channels that he's bringing in.
Are you a gigging fella, or how do you play?
Well, I was a gigging fellow for a very long time. I was in a band for 9 years, so we did a lot of touring.
What was your band?
Cymbals Eat Guitars.
Cymbals Eat Guitars?
Yep.
I don't like that.
Drum cymbals?
I don't like that at all.
It's okay.
It's scary.
I was never a huge fan of the name either, but it was before I was in the band. So
I see.
yeah.
What kind of stuff?
Poppy noise rock, I guess, is the best way to. We got a lot of comparisons to like Pavement, some Modest Mouse, I guess. Yeah.
Pavement's so good.
I love me some Pavement.
Well, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
So has the...
But I did not use the Space Echo with the band.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
No, we did a lot of like international touring and stuff like that. So it wasn't really like a practical piece of gear to bring around with
That'd
me.
be tough to tour with.
Yeah.
And from the looks of some of the shots that you have on your Instagram, you've got a pretty sweet studio setup. I mean, it is really a rather beautiful studio.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's getting there. Yeah. It's like, so my wife and I are currently in it's a 1-room apartment basically that we also work out of. But she is exceptional with plants. So we have plants everywhere. They fill up the whole place. And also she has just like a really good eye for design and like fun, cool stuff. And, like since she makes ceramics, there's a lot of her stuff, and she has a lot of friends who make nice things. So we have a lot of these like beautiful objects around. And those sort of things really kind of help make a space, like a studio space or anything like that, feel special.
Right.
And like a place you want to be. It's like an inspiring place. So, besides the gear itself.
I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Your wife sounds like a hell of a catch, man.
She is.
She's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome.
Solid.
Yeah. So, yeah, and now one thing I like about the plant, a lot of studios we see, it's a artificial sound dampening all over the place, right?
Right.
But plants do that automatically.
Yeah, I think
really
they probably do.
cool.
Yeah, suck up a little high end.
Deflect. Anyways. I was nerding out on that stuff. Whatever.
4 on the floor.
Yes. 4 on the floor. Back to that.
On this week's Plant
Jeez
Podcast.
Louise. All right, what you got for number 2?
Number 2, I'll keep it in you already brought it there, but the Echoplex. I would say that's my 2-second fake 4 on the floor that you're going to let slide.
Okay. And what do you love about that?
Also just special. I mean, tape delays are really interesting pieces of gear. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just the preamp on it sounds amazing. The delay itself is just voiced really nicely. Works with like any amp, any gear. I don't know. It's great. It's really good.
No, that's just a classic sound. I mean,
yeah.
What more can you say?
I don't. Yeah, that's the thing. There's not really much else to say.
Now, are you one that prefers the sound of kind of a worn tape, or do you like to keep your tape pretty fresh so that it's kind of repeating well?
Very good question. I have my Space Echo has a very worn tape, and the Echoplex has a very clean tape, and I like being able to sort of mess with them in different ways.
Okay. That was
There's
going to be
a little
my follow-up
tiny bit of-
question is how you would, do you use those two not pedals, but two
Effect.
pieces of equipment together, or do you use them for different things?
I do kind of a mix, actually. I mean, sometimes I'll use them in series, or I'll put pedals like between them, or like I'm a fan of changing, the order of things up all the time and just changing my stuff up. Again, like since I was in a band that we toured a lot, I didn't really like change my setup too much just because what I had was cool and it worked well. And, I was super comfortable using everything the way it all works together in the set. But when I'm at home, I change the order of stuff every single time I sit down, probably take a couple minutes and just the space echoes first and then the echoplex is last. And then, I'll put some gain pedals before one and, sandwich them, or take I have a biphase and I'll just throw the two outputs and run those in stereo. There's a lot of really interesting stuff you can do with the two of them together.
I would guess that as someone who is actually creating devices, that is maybe one of the best ways to draw new inspiration, by just going, what happens if I do this?
Definitely.
Also, yeah. I suspect that you are collecting these larger devices so that you have somewhere to put the plants on.
Definitely.
Or to hold big piles of paper in place. All the schematics.
Can we just, are there table legs extending from the bottom of any of those? All right. What do you have for number 3, sir?
All right. Number 3, I think another kind of weird one, but the 4MS noise wash. I don't know. Noise swash. I think it's actually how it is. It's just a real weird fuzz pedal. I don't know if you know the company 4MS. They mostly do modular stuff now, but they had a lot of good DIY information out there, Creative Commons type stuff for a really long time, when I first got into making pedals. And just they had a lot of interesting, unique takes on how to do things, sort of modular designs of pedals. So a lot of them had let's say the fuzz, it was well documented, how to add an LFO on it or add some other thing, some weird tone control or something like that. So there's lots of ways to make something your own.
It's like an analog Zoya.
Yeah, kind of.
Ish.
I'm going to say no, but yes. Yeah.
That's not the first time that's happened on this show.
I'll give it to you.
You're exactly wrong.
You know what? You gave me the space echo. I'll give you this one. Yeah, but as a DIY, when you first are starting out as a DIY person, that sort of information out there is really exciting and super fun. And it was always presented in a pretty accessible way too. So it's good, a really interesting pedal that I've always liked.
Awesome. It looks terrifying. Just from
yeah.
I'm just gonna say that. I don't know that. That would. I would. It's need an intimidating that in a bottle thing, of Excedrin. Yeah. I think.
Yeah.
So what's number 4?
Number 4, the Fairfield Circuitry Shallow Water, which is a beautiful pedal. Fairfield Circuitry is a really amazing company. I have a bunch of their stuff. I've always really liked their aesthetic.
Yes,
both,
I agree.
Yeah.
Visually and sonically, really, really nice. The right word is, I can't find it, but just well thought out things. And the Shallow Water is right up there. So as for what it is, for anyone who doesn't know, it's a random vibrato, and also low pass gate, which that's a design that's more commonly used in modular synth and the Eurorack world. But it's I'll probably get this wrong exactly, but it's sort of I guess the easiest way to think of it is a low pass filter, and also a VCA, which is a voltage controlled amplifier. So it's sort of I don't know the best way to even say it. Yeah.
So does it react to your picking or the volume coming out of your guitar?
Yeah. So there's envelope control over that low pass gate. Okay. So basically, the harder you play, the more it opens up, and the brighter it gets. And on quieter stuff, it almost acts like a noise gate.
Okay.
But it changes the tone of it as well. So it's just a really nice piece of gear. So one way I've used it kind of recently, I've been making little like little videos on Instagram just for myself. Also, to like you were saying before about it, you know, putting different stuff. It's a good way to get new inspiration and new ideas. So I've been trying to do that. Started trying to do it every day, but that's hard to do. So now I just do it whenever I can. But one thing I did was using Space Echo and the Echoplex with the shallow water in between them.
Oh wow!
And I set the low pass gate so that it would, with a long repeats before it, but it would shut. It would sort of like shut down halfway through the repeats. But if I played harder, I could get more repeats to ring out. So it was this really nice like play with the pedals.
I like that. I like that
fun.
Idea.
I feel like there'd be a lot of movement there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The repeats with the attack. That's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice. Made me happy.
Awesome, man. Right on.
All right.
Well, that's an excellent 4 on the floor. That's 4 fresh ones that we haven't had on. That's
No.
Usually we get one that's been on, but wow, that's really cool. All right.
Nobody's talked about a Space Echo before? Come on.
Nope.
Or an Echoplex?
I don't think
neither one of those have made it to the list. I think mostly because people don't look at it as a pedal.
Yeah, they were afraid to push the envelope.
Oh, those people are.
No pun intended there. I got that. So, Brian Hamilton of Smallsound, Bigsound, before we get into your interview, I just got to ask, what makes you upset? like what is, I'm trying to imagine an upset you.
Right.
Questions like
Not
that.
much, to be honest.
He is really upset right now, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Not
Close
much.
friends of Brian Hamilton are going, oh, dang, Todd's getting lambasted right now.
Ease off, Todd.
Are you okay?
Well,
yeah, I don't know. I don't
yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. It's nice to have someone relaxed.
yeah.
I was not always so relaxed. So
No?
I'm happy if this is who I am now.
Excellent.
Good.
We're happy too.
Yeah. I suspect it's the plants and the white. I'm just saying.
I agree. And the cat.
Total feng shui.
Yeah. So, okay. I find you to be a pretty interesting cat in the pedal community. You're not like screaming guitar pedal stuff. You're making pedals and they sound awesome. But
Thanks.
You're not beating everybody over the head with like guitars. And that's kind of different.
Well, it probably helps that I don't really play guitar.
And that might be a reason.
There you go.
I mean, I play a little bit. I mean, I can play enough to play by myself
To make the
and
sounds.
enjoy it and make a sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
Play with looper, but
So are you primarily a keyboard player or?
yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
But I mean, I love guitars. I have a bunch of guitars. So, I mean, I feel like I understand certain things about guitars enough.
We're exactly the same, except I can't play keyboards either. So, oh boy.
Well, that was, we were just up in Cleveland at Dr. Z.
Yeah.
And he doesn't play guitar.
He's a drummer.
He's a drummer.
Nice.
And I kind of,
And Leo didn't play guitar.
I said, well, how does a drummer? And then he says, did you ever hear of Jim Marshall? And Jim Marshall, yes, was a drummer too.
I mean, that's kind of weird to think about. Those are some big names that didn't play guitar.
Yeah.
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 It's crazy. Wow, you just got name dropped with Jim Marshall, Dr. Z, and Leo Fender. That's not bad, man.
I'll take it.
You're in good company.
So help us understand. Walk us through where Guitar World meets Brian Hamilton.
So I went to Berklee School of Music, which is an interesting place to go to. Mm-hmm. And when I went to school there, I just started playing piano. So I was sort of in like a really weird place. I sort of had a lot of theory stuff down, but not a lot of performance confidence and also ability. So I started playing with some people that I met, and everything was super new to me. I don't played with people just a little bit in high school, like barely at all. And one of the dudes that I was playing with, I didn't even know that he was a phenomenal guitarist. I mean, he went on to do a lot of really cool stuff. He was like played a backing band for like Khaki King, and I think maybe he may have done some stuff with like Buckethead or something. But he's just like a super prolific guitarist. I mean, he's one of those people who you could play like, you know, John McLaughlin, but also like Bill Frisell, and also like Slayer. He's just like one of these people who's a freak. And he was super into pedals, but he didn't have a ton of like really crazy like boutique-y stuff, but he just had some like regular stuff, and he just used it really, really well. And it sort of made me really excited about using that stuff on keyboards. And in our band, I played Rhodes, and I don't know, I just was trying different pedals and stuff, and nothing was really super exciting to me until I got a Death by Audio Total Sonic Annihilation. That was one of my first boutique pedals I ever got.
Are you kidding me? That's like the first.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was at Berkeley studying like sound design and stuff like that. So I understood all the concepts of like how to use this stuff in a different way. So to me, that was like not a weird idea at all. The feedback loop, it was like a no brainer. So, you know, the first thing I did was plug in like my reverb pedal and like, you know, a little keyboard and some like fuzz, and make, you know, I was like instant fake like Sigur Rós vibes, and it was great. Yeah.
Okay, now I get it. I get it. Yes, but it's just kind of funny because not your Smallsound, Bigsound, but Death by Audio is like, that's noise.
Yeah,
like
name is very descriptive of sound.
Yes, exactly. So. And the two, I don't think that's the first time those two have ever been mentioned in the history of mankind, by the way, a Rhodes and a Death by Audio pedal. So from there, you get your first boutique pedal. You've got your friend who's like an amazing player. I'm assuming that prompted your entry into the actual pedal world.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because I was also, like I said, I was doing sound design stuff, and I was definitely super interested in sound in general, and but I really wanted to build myself like a Eurorack system or something like that, like a modular system. But you know, this was a little bit of a while ago. I'm 36 now, so. The world of pedals and modular stuff was not as deep as it is now. And to get into modular synths at the time, you know, I was like a broke college student, so it wasn't really like the easiest, most accessible thing for me. So I did the most natural thing, which was try to like circuit bend some keyboards and like, you know, crappy pedals like a DS1 or something like that. Not that it's crappy. Just has a specific place. So all that stuff would just sort of led me to get, you know, actually like building guitar pedals, because I felt like, you know, I didn't have a background in electronics, but I understood the concepts of the modular design, signal flow, stuff like that. So I just had to try to build some stuff to actually learn it. Because the circuit bending is like, you know, it's like walking in the dark. You don't really know what's going on. You're just poking things together. It's cool. Sometimes you can make some really interesting sounds, but it's a little frustrating. I wanted to learn a little more.
Well, that's a good way to do it. Do it by doing it.
Do it by doing it.
What was the first birth that came out of that work?
I think the first thing I made was a green ringer, which is like an octave up kind of design.
Is that the Dan Armstrong one?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. Like the Earthquaker Devices Tentacle, I think, is in that world.
Very similar, yeah.
Yeah. It's cool. It's super easy. It's like a really nice intro build. I think a lot of people, I was big into the DIY Stomp Boxes world at the time, which is like a super great DIY forum that a lot of it's still super active.
What's that? One more time. What's that called? So I thought you were just saying, like, generally speaking, the DIY Stompbox world, but
no. So DIYstompboxes.com.
Oh yeah, okay.
And I think a lot of people on there, like that was like a thing for definitely at the time. I feel like a lot of people were making that as like a first build or like an early build. That and like a, Electro Harmonics like LPB1 or like a boost or something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I kind of like very quickly decided to make super complicated stuff for myself.
Of course.
Just because, yeah, I mean, it was kind of like very similar as to how things went with me in music. Like, so I had a ton of theoretical knowledge about music, but I did not have the physical capabilities. And when I was sort of getting into guitar pedals, I was like, I had this theoretical knowledge of how sound worked, but I didn't have the electronics chops. So like, I just immediately was like, oh, I want all this like crazy stuff to happen. And it was hard to do that. Didn't always go as planned.
We've mentioned this several times, but here's another person who has created a successful business and found a unique voice in the pedal world that has started from, I just want to see what this is like. I want to explore. I want to start with the DIY Stompbox. I'm not an electronics master. Some people have that, and that's great if you have that. But if you don't, it's still possible.
I mean, I feel like it's very similar to bands or music or whatever. It's like you don't have to be the best musician to make music that people like. Mm-hmm. And I feel like you don't have to be the best electronics person to make circuits that people like. It certainly helps for if you want to make more complex designs or more unique designs. Certainly, like having knowledge is extremely important.
Sure. But it's not prohibitive.
It's not prohibitive. Not by any means, no.
That kind of reminds me of, I think most of America should have been forced to watch this, to be honest, if they haven't already. But in the era of like The Voice and all of the I can sing, therefore I should be famous kind of thing, they did a mock-up parody where they had John Lennon in his solo era, and he was singing, but they put it like if he was on The Voice. So they had the judges sitting there listening and everything, and none of them rang the buzzer and everything like that. And then at the end, you could tell it was like, it probably was for like a TV recording, and it was like, an outtake or something, because at the end he just stopped and he was like, I think he might have been even chewing gum, and he was just kind of like looking around. It was so on point. Like, think about all the people who we love their playing style or their singing style or what their musicianship that are not textbook awesome, but we love that of them. I think that's one of the things in the pedal world, personally, that I respond to. I know that there is a huge amount of Boss love, right? And Boss has a definite place in the world. It's just sort of almost clinical or robotic sounding. There's something about that to me. In certain instances, that's what you want. That's what you need. Yeah. I'm not knocking it at all. I am not knocking Boss pedals, everybody. But I'm just simply saying that.
Would you like a shovel to dig in a little deeper?
Those are like technically perfect things, right? And so when you get those technical imperfections, or you get somebody who's using on eBay, I won a box of resistors from 1962, and I put those in all my pedals or something.
But that's not dissimilar from somebody buying a brand new factory Fender or Gibson versus someone who goes to buy a boutique guitar.
Right.
There's something, I think, in the DNA of the instrument, or in this case the pedal, that is attractive to a certain group of people. There's plenty of other people that are very happy to buy a brand new Gibson or Fender. But I think a lot of us like the idea that, one, we can get to know the builder, and if there's something special that we want, it's not a big deal to maybe make a change.
Yeah.
And, I think there's a more of a one-to-one connection with a smaller builder or a boutique builder than there would be to a bigger company.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I mean, I think there's also the idea of supporting other independent artists and musicians, makers, anyone like that is really, especially in this day and age, I feel like it's extremely important to support those people.
Hugely.
And I mean, small builders they're just, normal people.
Yeah.
just generally just a musician who's like psyched about something and they're trying to like make it work,
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like those are the people that definitely should get support. Again, I love Boss pedals. I mean, I kind of like I don't think there's a reason to dislike many pedals, to be honest, unless you have like personal, reasons behind disliking a company.
Right. Right.
Or you just try something you don't really like the way it sounds, but I don't know where I'm going with that.
No, I totally get you,
just...
and I appreciate you helping me to not dig a grave there.
I felt like I was about to start digging myself into one.
I think, when it comes to Boss pedals, if you want to try out a certain effect, they typically are the standard. So if you want to know what delay sounds like, go get a Boss delay. And you may not like it, but at least you know what that effect sounds like. You know what you like, you know what you don't like. And then you can explore a little further and find that boutique builder that tweaked everything just
baseline.
enough.
It is baseline. Right. Everything is baseline.
Yeah, I mean they have to market to every guitarist, so they're making concessions along the line. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's boutique makers. It's like the the independent bands that are weird that not everyone's gonna like, and I feel like that's just the easiest way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
Well said. And in speaking with the getting to know and reach and connecting with the pedal builders, like we've got your pedals right in front of us and we're talking directly to you, and that's pretty dang cool.
Yeah, but have you tried giving Boss a call?
No,
they won't return Todd's calls.
Few people do.
They have him blocked.
Have you tried to call him?
No.
Probably for the same reason.
They're number 4 on my speed dial.
Yeah.
Right next to poison control.
That's right.
Anyways, we've got okay. So Brian was kind enough to send us 2 pedals to play with. One of them is this sparkle. I don't know if this is technically shell pink, but it's a pale pink.
It's like a sparkly
shell pink.
It's shell pink, yeah. This is the Mini. It's just smaller than the other one, but it's not micro. It's sort of MXR size, right?
Yeah, it's
it's a normal size pedal.
Yeah, it's a normal-ish size pedal.
Why do you have to pick on the guest?
Man, oh man, oh man. I plugged this in, and I didn't stop playing for a long time.
Yeah.
Legit.
Nice.
And I
was afraid of the other one. The other one struck fear into my soul.
Yes.
But it's not really as complicated as it looks.
No, but I
understand.
Just the sounds that were coming out of it frightened me.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to that in a second.
Okay, let's talk about the Mini.
So this is the Mini. We had Pusheen on.
Pusheen?
Of famed internet fame.
Yeah.
And so his favorite, his number 1 4 on the floor was your custom made FUCK drive with
nice.
Homie from A Christmas Story on it, which I love.
Yeah.
So I was really excited to try this one out because you added a few different things. This is kind of an unassuming pedal, partially because of the size, also because of the design. It's sort of simple. Hey, folks out there, I'm telling you, listen to me right now. This makes some freaking amazing noise.
I might say righteous.
Legit. I love this pedal.
Wow.
So I'm gonna just mention the thing that I found to be the most delightful part on that, and that's the bias knob on an overdrive.
Right.
What was the genesis of that?
So the other pedal you were speaking of earlier, the F overdrive, that pedal I made with some very specific design ideas in mind. And a lot of people liked it, but sort of wanted a version of that pedal that didn't have some of those design ideas. So essentially the Mini was my mini version of that pedal. So that's where the name came from, and I just was not really feeling any other names at the time. So
I would love to see the the piece of paper that had all the options for this.
it's just blank piece of paper. Yeah.
One word at the top.
Yeah.
It
It's
could
right
have
next
been
to
like
Smallsound,
the
Bigsound.
Levi Levin, or like I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, go on.
I think that's going to be the next one.
Right.
Levi Levin.
Oh boy.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we could do a special guitar knobs version.
Oh,
my
my God. There we go.
I got this.
So can you
I'm
explain
happy
what,
this is recorded so
Yeah.
we can.
can you briefly explain what the bias knob actually does? I mean, is it changing voltage into
Sure.
the transistor or what?
Yeah. So basically, the other pedal uses envelope control to basically change to do what the bias knob is doing.
Okay.
There's some other tweaks in the circuit that make it slightly different enough to where I think that they stand on their own. But that's the basic gist of it. Is that the bias knob is just changing voltage and just part of the circuit. I found that to be the best situation rather than like a global control where like a starve control that changes the voltage for the entire thing or something like that.
Okay.
Which also sounds nice, but it's just very different. A lot of times you get like a very lots of softening in a way of your sound, which was not necessarily what I wanted with this.
Agreed. I think the starve on things can be I either like the sound or I don't, and then it becomes either a loved or wasted knob.
Right. I mean, the other pedal I sent you also has a control like that. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's something I like. I think it's an interesting way of. It's something I've always liked because I feel like it's a way of sort of shifting all of your controls in a different way,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's the most interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Because sort of like you have, all your controls do this one thing. Like gain knob controls your gain, your tone controls your tone, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have another control that sort of like changes how everything works, or it just shifts all those things, it just opens up a lot of new possibilities.
Now, from a sonic standpoint, the way that I was describing this to Tony, because I'm a layman, when I go to the right on the bias, I got tighter gain sound.
Yeah.
And when I went to the left, it became a more open, thicker hairs and less of them. And to the right is thinner hairs and more of them.
Ah.
That's the way that I see
I like
gain. I don't know how else to explain that.
That's a good way to,
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I like that explanation.
I was really excited when I was playing with this because it made my tone. I still maintained my tone. I play stuff that's, I mean, it's I guess relatively straight ahead, whatever that means. I try to get as unique of a tone as I can with like subtle harmonics and stuff coming out.
Sure.
But this allowed a new sound within that sound. And I hadn't found a pedal to make that happen up to this point. So thank you. That was really
Sweet.
cool. Now I've discovered something awesome.
You're welcome.
Then you got obviously bass and treble on there. Maybe it's just me, and maybe I was just enamored at the time, and the club lights hadn't come on yet. But but the bass and the treble,
that was sick.
yeah, they were very, very interactive. Like bass up and down wasn't just simply bass up and down. It was like those two were very much reactive against each other.
You're very perceptive. So the bass control is it's pre-gain basically. So a lot of other pedals will have a bass control at the end of a pedal, and then maybe they'll have usually a depth control on a gain pedal. Usually they call it depth or like fatness or something like that. I don't know, whatever. And that's usually some sort of input bass. So generally, on any sort of gained thing, whether it's an amp or a distortion pedal or something, the more bass you push into it, usually like the flabbier it sounds, and I don't know. There's a lot of adjectives people use, but but generally, yeah, it's like it can get boomy and like the gain gets more saturated in a different way than if you cut a lot of the bass. So I like personally, I'm a huge fan of bass controls in that situation. Because again, it leaves you, it's sort of like the idea of some sort of bias control that's sort of shifting the way your other controls work. The bass controls kind of, that pre-gain bass control kind of does that as well.
Yeah.
So if you have the gain all the way up, you could turn down the bass and like it actually, cleans up the pedal quite a bit, which is kind of interesting. Maybe that's not what you always want, but that's what this does.
I think it's really helpful for a live situation because you can control your bass and still maintain that sort of like mid area that you want to play in as a guitar player in a live situation without overriding everything with bass. And the treble, how does that is that working in the same way?
And it's just super simple, like a passive low pass filter at the end of at the output of the pedal. Okay. So nothing fancy. It just rolls off some highs. I mean, I wanted it to be like more subtle. I mean, I know there's some range to it for sure, and like but I wanted it to feel more like a tone knob on your guitar or something like that, rather than like this really intense control.
Yeah, you're not. It's not that you're adding treble.
It doesn't add anything. Yeah, no, it doesn't.
If you dime it, it's like that is the most treble that you can have. But it's not boosting it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the same with the bass. The bass is doing the same thing. The bass is also a passive control. I mean, I know that, active controls are really powerful and super useful, but I am a fan of passive tone controls when possible. They feel very natural in a lot of instances, and it's what a lot of people are used to already with like guitars and stuff like that. So I feel like it always feels good.
I gotta tell you, man, I responded to this pedal like in a big way. So
nice.
Hopefully, by the way, everybody following along, if you're, unless you're driving, where can they go check out what we're talking about right now on Instagram?
Instagram / Smallsound Bigsound, or whatever my handle is, Smallsound Bigsound on Instagram, Facebook, all the things.
Okay, cool.
And on my website, which is the same, just smallsoundbigsound.com. Yeah. Thankfully, no one else has that name.
I was just going to say that. You got all the stuff. That's great. Now, this other one that you sent us real quick here, and I need to make a disclaimer. If you saw my unboxing video, anybody out there on Instagram, if you haven't seen it, take a minute to watch it. Because I put some effort in it. I'm just saying, I try to give the love back to the videos. But I made a reference to a Chico stick, and I had a few people that were like, what did you say? It's a Chico stick? What's a Chico stick? And Tony, you know what a Chico stick is?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, you've got to be kidding me, John.
Chico.
How do you guys not know what Chico stick is?
Is this like a weird Midwest thing?
Are you? No, well, he's not from the Midwest, so don't lump us in with him.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm a California kid. I have.
You mean like chiclets?
Okay. No, that's gum.
Oh,
Chico stick is so. Next time you go to the old truck stop on your way,
old truck stop,
a Chico stick is like the inside is kind of like a Butterfinger, but then it's coated in this orange stuff that I don't know what flavor it is, and then like toasted coconutty stuff on the outside.
Okay,
they're amazing.
I got you.
I have no idea
I've
what
never
you're
seen
talking
that.
about.
I don't care for coconuts.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a picture right now, and it's very interesting.
I'm telling you, man. Like you have one, if you have one Chico stick, you're like, all right, I'm in.
This is this is old school candy.
It kind of is, yeah. That's what I lived on in Little League when I was a kid.
That's what Tony grew up on.
Yeah, that's why I messed up. Anyway, so I just need.
I had so many that I completely blotted them from my memory.
Yeah. So
I OD'd on Chico sticks.
So you have this.
Oh, there's a sugar-free version of the candy.
Is there really?
We're going for it.
What kind of a world is there sugar-free candy?
That's kind of messed up.
Sugar-free Chico sticks.
That sounds gross. All right. Anyways, back to the
on this week's Chico Stick broadcast,
vintage candy stuff.
Plants and candy.
Yeah, wash it down with a nice stick of violet gum. Okay.
And a little bit of tab.
Yeah. So you've got the Smallsound, Bigsound Buzz. What is this coral on the front of this? It looks like coral. Or capillaries. I can't really tell.
No, it is kind of a coral-esque thing. Honestly, I don't remember the source material for that. Mm-hmm. But the same with the F overdrive. It was like images that I kind of played around with and then used like a very small section of some other image and sort of like warped it to get a thing. So it might be coral, but might not be. I think it might be from a mushroom or something, like a drawing of a mushroom. I honestly don't remember at this point.
Yeah.
But I just like kind of changed it and stuff to
Is it possibly a bunch of chica sticks?
No, definitely not. Unless you left them in your bag for weeks. Anyways, okay, so this is this pedal right here. So this is a double foot switch pedal. You've got bypass and then engage the other stuff. We're not going to go like switch by switch through this thing. We'll just do a couple highlights. No. But I will say, this makes a crap ton of different kinds of noises.
It's scary.
It's pretty, yeah. There's some scary stuff on here, but there's some sweet stuff too. Scary and sweet.
I was more scared.
Yeah.
But I'm easily frightened.
What was the genesis of this pedal, Brian?
Okay, so this is not the most unique thing I make, but I enjoy it, so that's why I sent it to you. So it has its roots in a super fuzz. So it does a lot of super fuzz things.
And for those who don't know what the super fuzz is, you've probably seen pictures on the internet of a really cool.
It's an octave fuzz.
Yep. With the blue and orange pedal that looks really cool, and it's totally
super
cost
huge.
Prohibitive. But go on, yes.
Yeah, so I it's I'm a big fan of the different textures mostly that octave fuzzes give, and also that was, like I said, the Green Ringer, that was like one of the first things I ever made, and I was always kind of enamored by just like really interesting textures you get, especially with like different chords and things like that. Sounds that I would also just wasn't used to with other stuff, other gear, especially on keyboards. There's some very interesting sounds you can get. So for the Buzz, I was just really excited about some of the like low gain kind of octave up sounds. Mm-hmm. It's like very wet, kind of like weird. I don't even know how to explain that, but it's kind of a wet sound, which is strange.
Mm-hmm. Well, at least it didn't
really
say
nice.
Moist.
I wouldn't do that to your audience.
Okay.
I'm not a monster.
Moist. Okay, a couple really interesting things here. I love the idea of being able to switch between germanium and silicone diodes, and boy, oh boy, can you tell this is one of the more pronounced switches that allow you to do that I've encountered. Like plugging this in is like, wow, that's radically different.
Yeah, you have to be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I really like the classic, germanium sound. It's smoother. There's like way less output. But there's just something about the silicon diodes I use are a particular voltage Zener diode, so they have a much higher output, especially than like a standard silicon diode does. So it's closer to no diodes or something than silicon diodes. Mm-hmm. But there's still a bit of that compression that is added in. Mm-hmm. So similarly, there's a couple settings that I find are really interesting with that, which are, like I was saying before, sort of the low gain. I'll add the gain switch on Buzz. Kind of does a weird thing where it flips some of the transistors around that are in the. I'll give away all the secret sauce here, but that are in the rectifying section of the circuit, which is what creates the octave up. So it flips those transistors around, and it's nice.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
And having the option to get some octaveness in there is really cool. And I didn't find it to be an obnoxious octave. It was very tasteful. It was like it's almost like a cocked wah kind of thing.
Yeah, there's some of that for sure. Yeah, Super Fuzz is it's a nice sounding octave. It's different than like the other ones that are out there.
Yeah.
But they all have their own thing.
Very, very cool. Very versatile pedal. There are so many different sounds that you can get out of that thing. You also have Team Awesome Fuzz Machine. At least this is what's on your site currently right now.
It's a bass fuzz. I mean, I made it originally for bassists. Has clean blend, some other stuff going on. It's got a gated mode. It's nice.
I know that in my current band, we must have tried out 4 or 5 different bass fuzzes, and for whatever reason, man, it's just hard to find one that works well, especially with the kind of bass amp that someone's using. I think that is the big key. It's like it may be a great pedal on its own, but depending on what you're plugging into, could have a radically different effect.
Yeah, I mean the whole bass world is like something I'm not super comfortable with, to be honest, because I know that bassists are a very particular bunch, especially when it comes to amps and stuff like that. So, I mean, thankfully now there's, at the time when I made the Team Awesome, though, there wasn't a lot of totally bass specific fuzz options. But I mean, now there's a lot of really interesting people doing like very bass specific pedals, and people who are bassists, like, Fuzz Rocious, Ryan from Fuzz Rocious and Damnation Audio. It's like there's a lot of companies that have bassists who are making the pedals, and they understand what their needs are. So, not to tear my own pedal down, but I still really like mine. But I think it's cool that there's a lot of options now.
Yeah.
That didn't used to exist.
Well, dude, thank you so much for sharing your wares with us and sharing your story. We have got a little thing called Would You Rather?
Wow, that sounded kind of like an air raid siren.
Yeah. What I think this is interesting that when other people are asked to do it, nobody actually nobody does it straight. They always kind of like play it off a little bit, because I think maybe that people are just honoring, like, hey, you know what?
The bar has been set.
Yeah,
and you can't mess with something that's a classic.
Jared is the boss pedal of Would You Rather.
Yeah. Okay, so the Would You Rather for today is...
All right, this is from executive producer Martin Cliff. Would you rather have a large collection of nice guitars that you don't play very often, or just a few choice pieces that make you feel warm and tingly inside?
That's a good one. Thanks to Martin Cliff for sending that in. He has been a longtime supporter of our show. So Martin, he's actually out there in Hong Kong, teaching music.
Oh, really?
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Good for
He's
him.
internationally known. All right. Tony Baloney.
Well, since I already have a large collection that I don't play a lot.
Polish your trophy elsewhere, brother.
Let me show you my trophy. I think, and the older that I get, the more I realize, and we talked at the Akron show this weekend, that I think I'm getting to a point where I want to sell off a bunch of things that I have and, get the collection down to maybe 10 or 12 guitars. And that would be...
You better start showing me that sales sheet there.
You can come over anytime.
I do. You
Cash
never
in
show
hand.
'em.
Cash on the barrel.
All right.
But the older that I get, the more I realize that I think it's better to have fewer really choice instruments, because I do feel guilty sometimes that some of these cases I haven't cracked open in a year, maybe longer in some cases. Mm-hmm. So I think it's better to have fewer instruments that are of superior quality and actually means something to you than to have a bunch that you never get to play.
Okay. I can dig that.
I would have to agree with Tony. And in fact, I've actually taken steps to address that. I've sold 3 guitars since the last time I sat down in here.
Holy moly.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. It kills me to have equipment, particularly a musical instrument, that is just sitting around collecting dust when somebody else could be using that. So I would much rather have 1, 2, 3, 4 guitars that I use every single day or every other day or whatever the case may be than have, 10, 15, 20 that I'm only ever using the 1, 2, 3, 4 that I use every day. So,
no, it's
a lot of math.
yeah.
All right. Brian, how about yourself?
If you were a guitar player.
Yes.
Well, you could transpose this idea to any gear, really. But,
Yeah, totally.
Because I feel that, but okay, I have a lot of stuff, certainly, but I also feel like I would definitely rather just a couple things, because I feel like you're always defined by your limitations. So I feel like if you just have a couple things, you're limited. You just figure out how to do the best thing you can with those, and I feel like that's it. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, I mean, we all started with, one.
Yeah.
Then it was 2, and then it was many more.
20.
Yeah.
Todd, how about you?
This is tough.
Oh,
This is real tough.
Come on, we know the answer.
You know what? I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for having a lot.
Jeez.
I mean, because I haven't had a lot, so I haven't got there yet. I'm not at the stage where I can be like, yeah, I really need to thin down my herd.
Okay.
When I see that on Craigslist, it makes me have all kinds of different emotions. Thinning out the herd, need to sell this. I'm like, oh wow, sorry for your herd. But yeah, there are many. I would love to have them just because even if I'm not playing them, I have such a true appreciation for the artistry and the aesthetic of a guitar. They're mind blowing. I will sit in my chair in my house and just be hanging out, and I will just sit there and be looking at them. That's a real thing. I'm not making that up, and I'm in awe of this machine. So I want more of them.
All right.
But they'd all be black and gold, right?
Black with gold
only
sparkles.
only the ones that I'm playing in my band. I'm open to other stuff. I'm telling you.
So Stratocaster.
Nope.
Total 80 strats.
Nope. That's a nope. Anyways, all right. Well, that was a whole lot of fun. Now, really quickly, Brian.
Yo.
Yeah. By the way, every time I hear you do that, like, it's not exactly on par, but Vince Guaraldi is on at my house probably 90% of the time that I'm actually there.
Nice.
Yeah, that is my house music.
Wait, what did I do?
You just did a little tinkle on the keys there.
Oh yeah. I was gonna play during the whole kind of like opening part where you guys were talking, but I thought that would be kind of weird.
All right, Brian, Smallsound, Bigsound. Where can people buy your wares?
Find it on the internet, smallsoundbigsound.com. There's direct purchases and also a list of retailers. Also, we're going to do a really fun Guitar Knobs special promotional thing, which I haven't figured out yet. But I think it's going to be the Levi Lovin Black and Gold Mini that will be available at some point.
Wait, are you serious?
Probably on reverb.com.
Oh, wow.
Are you for real?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Oh my god.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go for it. You can leave this whole part in too. Yeah, and I'll do it on reverb.com. So it'll just be a thing.
Oh man,
I don't think there'll be a code.
Cool.
It'll just be a weird random thing.
I love it.
I love that. That's fantastic.
I do it for you.
Oh man, I am honored. I am like humongously honored. Thank you. That's so cool.
No, I'm honored. Oh, and then also last thing, which is exciting, and that we didn't talk about. I wanted to talk about it, but I forgot. And now I'm talking about it. Is my wife and I, who I talked about earlier, we're going to open a store. We're opening a store in Philadelphia, probably in the next few months. I would say spring, summer, early summer, maybe. A brick and mortar. I believe it will be called Sound Objects. It's like a working title. A lot of layers with that name. It'll be guitar pedals and hopefully modular synth stuff, and also ceramics and some other things.
Wow.
That's it.
What part of Philly?
It'll be
thinking?
Cool. Fishtown,
Okay,
where we live.
perfect.
Yeah, it'll be right next door to our house. Actually,
Quick commute.
Wow.
very quick. It'll also be where we work. So I'll just, yeah.
I'm going to state right now that we will do everything we possibly can if you have a big old opening day or something to figure out a way to get there.
Oh yeah,
We'll do a live remote.
No, we won't.
you're invited. Well, I mean, hopefully we're planning on having lots of events and things there. So I'm sure
that'd
if
be
it
cool.
doesn't happen for the opening, we could do something another time anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got lots of friends in Philly.
I love
too.
that. That's a great
Nice.
That's a great thing that you're going to do. I can feel it
I
in
am
my
very
bones.
excited. It's been a long work in progress, but it's getting there. And the other thing I would plug here is that I also haven't done this yet, and by the time this airs, this won't be a thing yet. It's a little, it's kind of preemptive, but nonetheless, we are putting solar panels in to run our businesses completely off solar.
great.
So I'm going to be doing a Kickstarter for that at some point before the end of the year, I think. So
Make sure you share that with us so we can put it out on our Facebook group so that
Definitely.
everybody can check that out. I think that's admirable. I dig it. I like it.
Nice.
I thought I was really hoping you were going to name the store. It's Always Sunny in Petadelphia.
That would be pretty sick.
Yeah. All right, Tony Baloney.
Yes.
We got some people to talk to real quick.
Talk
To
about.
thank, yes.
We got to thank them.
That's correct.
I don't want to talk to each and every
Just
one of
read
these.
the
I'd
thing,
spend
man.
hours talking to people
Yes.
if I did that.
That's true.
It's true. And we like that. If I had the time, I would literally call each and every one that would be thanked in person.
I appreciate that of you.
Anyhow, this time of the show, it's my favorite time to irritate Todd.
It doesn't irritate me.
Does it irritate you if I call you Ted?
I love the list.
So Ted Novak,
Yes.
our host.
That doesn't make any sense.
It
Go
doesn't
ahead.
make any sense. This time of the show, we like to thank a special group. Can we get some background music going
I
there?
like that.
That's nice. Now go ahead.
Sure.
Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah,
Keep going.
turn it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Smooth jazz. Anyhow, we're going to thank a special group of people that are our executive producers. I'm really digging that. I like it. So there's people out there that are probably saying, hey, how do I become an executive
Hey,
producer?
how do I become an executive
There it
producer?
is. John was just asking.
Yep.
Well, actually, I think John's
He's,
on this
he's
list.
on it.
I mean, hypothetically.
He's on the list.
If he wasn't already here, he'd know how. Well, you go over to patreon.com/the guitar knobs, and you can find a couple different levels that you can participate in.
Yes.
Every level has its own swag associated.
Yes.
That's barefoot buttons and T-shirts and stickers and picks and
giveaways. We do lots of giveaways.
Oh!
In fact, we got giveways coming up the wazoo.
I love
people.
me a good giveaway.
Legitimately, we will be giving away, I think, about 6 pedals
Wow.
and other things.
Holy
I'm just
moly.
saying.
That's craziness.
Yes.
Anyhow, the highest level that you can participate in is our executive producer level. And in addition to all that great swag that you'll get from all the other levels, you get one very special thing. And Todd, what is that?
You get your name read on the thing.
That's
Correct.
right. And that's what I'm going to do right now.
Do it.
Let's thank Corey Nigro, Darren
cop in
Gregory,
Boston.
the cop in Boston, Darren Gregory, Brian Robison, Doug Christ, Tim Novak, Doug Gann, Chris Kearney, Tyler Bray, Tom Barazin, Michael Van Zandt, Jonathan Daly, Stefan Lamb, Johnny Knowles, Anthony Lanthrop, Sean S. Ken Sayers, John Englund, John Esterly.
Well, you're welcome.
Hello. Thank
Michael
you.
Senchuk, Ty Harmon, and count them, two new executive producers.
That's right.
Mr. David Kaminga,
Yes, longtime supporter of the
longtime
show.
supporter, now executive producer.
Correctamundo.
And Tommy Manasco.
Tommy Manasco, brand new.
Brand new. Thank you all so much. And if I haven't read your name and you're on Patreon supporting us, thank you too.
Thank you as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. John, where can people buy your stuff?
You can find my stuff at rarebuzzer.com and at rarebuzzer anywhere social media is sold.
Cool. Tony?
Yes. I think you could go over to pickguardian.com where you'll find a plethora of things that you can buy. And if there's something there that you don't see, that you want, get a hold of me.
Perfect.
I will take care of you. If you want to see some of those projects and things we've been talking about, go over to Instagram and pick Guardian and the number 1.
Yes.
What about Jared?
Jared at Brandon Wound Pickups. If you need some pickups, legit, just get his and just stop messing around.
Stop
okay?
looking. Just go to Jared.
They sound freaking fantastic. BrandonWoundPickups.com. And you can send me a note, Todd at theguitarknobs.com, or direct message me on Instagram, where I'm highly active, and that is just at Guitar Knobs. Brian Hamilton, Small Sound, Big Sound. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us and your smooth tunes.
That's very sweet. I like that. We need you on every
do
week.
what I can.
Can
Yes.
you do it every week?
I would like
Sure.
that. And
Yeah, just let me know.
and big thanks to Brian's wife for making him a super cool, chill guy.
That's right.
Apparently,
with plants and ceramics.
yeah. And good luck to all your new endeavors that you mentioned. We are rooting for you. Everyone else,
Thanks.
Make sure you go get some of these dang old pedals for Pete's sakes. And have a great guitar week and subscribe.
Yeah. I appreciate that you appreciate that.
I've been called worse today, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. Are you ready for this, man?
Sure.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.